This is the Louie T Network.
Who else could it be? Me, your me, Louie T. Welcome to lockdown coverage, week number 13 in the National Football League. Jacksonville Jaguars hosting the Indianapolis Colts. Jags coming off their first loss in quite some time a week ago, looking to bounce back from that loss against the Indianapolis Colts. Perfect team, perfect locale to do so. And they did exactly what you expect of a team chasing down an AFC South championship in this 2017 season. They routed the Colts in this football game, and what I thought was one of the most well-rounded games I've seen from this Jaguars team all season long. You could talk about the Pittsburgh win, which is their signature win this season to date. You could talk about some of the other ass whoopings that they've dished out this season at Houston, among others. But this one here, to me, was the best sign of a team that could potentially win a game and make some noise in the AFC playoffs. And the biggest reason why is because this is the most complete game I've seen Blake Bortles play all season long. I thought he was outstanding in this game. Not good, not okay, outstanding in this game. And if they can get this, and again, I get it. I understand. It's the Indianapolis Colts. Trust me. I understand the competition. He still went out and played flawless football. Thought he managed the game well. I thought he took care of the football. Thought he made excellent throws and decisions. There wasn't one thing that I thought Blake Bortles did wrong in this game. Yeah, he might have missed a throw or two here or there throughout the course of the game, but what quarterback doesn't? For the most part, I thought this was one of the best games I've seen Blake Bortles play. And that's not just this season, that's period. And he was confident. He knew what he needed to do. He didn't do anything reckless. There wasn't one decision where I said, come on, Blake, why did you do that? And there's usually at least one of those per game, normally multiples of those. There wasn't a single one in this game where I said, Blake, what were you thinking there? Why'd you do that? This offense, it's only going to go as far as Blake Bortles allows them to go. Not as far as Blake Bortles takes them, because they can go as far as they want to go, just off the strength of their defense, their run game. This team, however, will only go as far as Blake Bortles allows them to go. Because if he just takes care of the football, if he's a caretaker, I know quarterbacks hate this, but a game manager, if he just does the things that he needs to do, if he takes care of the football, makes throws when he's called upon to make throws, uses his legs, which I thought he did in this game as well, when he has to use his legs, he'll be just fine. This team will be just fine. It's when he steps out of the element of the offense, when he's missing open receivers, when he's making poor decisions, that's when Blake Bortles hinders this team's ability to do anything of note this season. And so watching him in this game, very impressed. That was my biggest takeaway from this game. And the Jaguars special teams continues to be a big help to their success this season. Another fake punt by the Jags. This one a pass. Remember, they had a big fake punt for a touchdown on a run to Corey Grant earlier in the season. This time they fake it with a pass. The Colts show all-out pressure on the punt block, and so they just simply turn one of the blockers loose. O'Shaughnessy, the tight end, throw him a pass, beautiful pass, easy pitch and catch, and he runs for about a good 36 yards, and that set up a score. And I love the fact that they're aggressive on special teams. In every element of the game, this Jaguars team dominated the Indianapolis Colts. Defensively, creating turnovers. Offensively, scoring points off of those turnovers and just moving the football down the field and getting points out of those possessions. And then special teams chipping in with a fake punt that led to points. So every part of this team contributing to a big 30-10 pasting of the Indianapolis Colts. And that's exactly what you're supposed to do to the likes of a team like the Colts at home, unlike Tennessee, who last week struggled with the Indianapolis Colts, albeit on the road. Doesn't matter. You've destroyed this team now twice, once in Indy, now at home. And I don't know if I should feel this way, because I'm one of those guys that I stick to what I say. And I've said all season long, the Tennessee Titans are going to win the AFC South division. They're going to win this division. They're the better team, and they're going to find a way to get it done. But as these weeks progress and I'm watching these two teams play, I feel like there's a divide growing between these two teams as the weeks pass. And I feel like the Jaguars are getting better and the Titans are just kind of stuck in neutral. They're not separating themselves from the pack. They're not taking their play to the next level. I just feel like the Jaguars seem like the more aggressive of the two teams, and they feel like, and again, this may not be reality, it just feels like they're getting better. And Blake Bortles in this game, to me, if they can get this from him moving forward, they're a dangerous football team. I got to see D.D. Westbrook in this game, and he looks like a guy that can help. Look, Lee, look, he's a Marquise Lee is an interesting wide receiver, to say the least. There are times when you love him. There's times when you want to strangle him if you're a Jaguars fan for some of the things and the antics that he has. There's drop passes. There's things that he does to affect the game in a positive and negative way. But when he's on, he's a big help to this Jaguars football team. And I thought he was great in this game as well. So you start to put together a semblance of a receiver group with Keelan Cole, who had a touchdown grab in this game, Marquise Lee, D.D. Westbrook, and then all of a sudden you put those tight ends in there, most notably Mercedes Lewis, and then you get the running backs in there, and all of them bring something special to the table, whether it's Fournette or it's T.J. Yeldon or it's Chris Ivory. So this is a very good group of skill guys. It's a solid group. Let's not go overboard. The receivers leave a lot to be desired, but as long as Blake Bortles continues to share the football the way he did in this game, takes care of the football more importantly, this defense, as we know, one of the best, if not the best in the league. They're aggressive, they're ferocious, they get after the quarterback, they force turnovers. They do all of the things that winning teams do on the defensive side of the football. Special teams chipping in with their part, whether it's a punt return or a big return, or they're faking a punt, or they're making field goals, whatever the case may be. This team is dangerous come playoff time. And they've got what it takes to not only win the AFC South, they've got a chance to go into the playoffs, win a game or two, and scare the hell out of one of the big two in the conference. They've already beaten Pittsburgh before. It's not the same Steelers team that they faced back in week 5 or whatever it was when they destroyed them in Pittsburgh. It's a totally different Steelers team right now, but still, they've got what it takes to take the Patriots or the Steelers down in any given moment. So this is a dangerous team, but again, they'll only go as far as Blake Bortles allows them to. And if he plays like this, sky's the limit for this Jacksonville Jaguars football team. Very impressed with what they did. Again, I get it. It was the Colts, but they still went out and executed flawlessly, I thought, in this football game in every single facet. And they put the Colts down to rest, essentially, in this game, 30-10, with relative ease, going to 8-4 and staying tied atop the AFC South with the Tennessee Titans. Indianapolis Colts, quickly, I'll continue to sing the praises of Jacoby Brissett. He wasn't terrible in this game. He wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible either. He's a guy that I think will continue to have an opportunity to play in this league. Whether Andrew Luck comes back or not, I think he's a starting quarterback for someone at some point in this league. If given an opportunity to grow and learn in a system, I think Jacoby Brissett can start in this league. I'm going to continue to echo those sentiments. Frank Gore, now the 5th leading rusher in NFL history, surpassing Jerome Bettis and LaDainian Tomlinson in this game. So kudos to Frank Gore for that feat. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe. One of the quiet guys, much like a Curtis Martin, who got in, that a lot of people didn't see getting in as early as he did. I think Frank Gore is going to be among those types of guys that you see get in to the Hall of Fame. Relatively quiet, not going to hear him much. His name's going to show up on the ballot, and he's going to get in, and he deserves it. The longevity with which he's had throughout this league has been magnificent, and he continues to play at a relatively high level for this Colts football team. That being said, still not enough production offensively nor defensively for the Colts. It's good to see the young guys getting out there. Finally, Quincy Wilson getting some snaps at the cornerback position, and it's probably more because of necessity more so than Chuck Pagano finally saying, let's get the young fella out there, see what he can do. He got beat in this game, so he's got some work to be done, but the more snaps he gets, the better maybe he'll get. But in any event, it's just good to see the young guys getting an opportunity in Indianapolis. But they struggled in this game to stop the Jaguars on offense. Blake Bortles had a field day, and they struggled to get anything really going on offense. And hence your 30-10 outcome in this football game as they fall to the Jacksonville Jaguars and drop to 3-9 on the season. Let's get to any comments that may be out there from this one, and then we'll move on to the next game. Enrique, let's see. Josh Berman says, McAdoo got fired today as well as Jerry Reese. How long till Pagano is shown the door? I'll give it 2 weeks max. They're not going to fire him in season. It just doesn't make it. I don't understand why they fired the Giants brass this early. Again, I talked about this last night on the Giants video, so I don't want to talk about it too much here. I did that last night with the Giants, even though I didn't know they were going to get fired, but that was the rumor, and I addressed it on the Giants and Raiders breakdown last night. Josh Berman says, Brissett is getting manhandled by defenses every week. Save this man. This dude is getting murdered every week. He's getting beat up. Some of it his own doing by holding on to the football too long, but we've seen quarterbacks get murdered behind this Colts offensive line. Andrew Luck, anybody? So it's not something new. We've seen this before. He's got to continue to take his lumps if he wants to continue to grow and develop in this league. And what doesn't kill you makes you stronger if you're a tough-minded NFL quarterback. Jacoby Brissett, I think, has the toughness to get through this season, take his lumps, and benefit from it. He'll have better pocket poise, better ability to stare down the gun barrel, take a shot, deliver the football because of all of the things he's went through with this Colts offensive line this season. But yes, he's getting destroyed week after week after week for sure. Enrique Valencia says, Jacoby Brissett had me fooled for a while, but I realized he's just a guy, Brian Hoyer. I think he's better than that. And again, he doesn't have a ton of help. This is not a talented Colts football team on the offensive line, at the skill positions. It's just not. So when Jack Doyle is your most productive receiver and he's a tight end and he's an average tight end, you have a problem. So I'm not going to put this on Jacoby Brissett. I just don't think they have enough talent to really accentuate what this guy can truly do, I think. Enrique Valencia says, I don't understand. And again, another thing to take into consideration when discussing Jacoby Brissett, he wasn't with this team in the offseason. He didn't get to take first-team reps and snaps and get any practice in the offseason. He literally came on board and is still learning on the fly. So it's been a hell of a transition for him. And I actually think he's done a really good job with the limited amount of snaps and time he's had with these Colts receivers, tight ends, and skill guys on the fly. So Enrique Valencia says, I don't understand why we won't fire Chuck Pagano and get a head start on the coaching search, kind of how the Giants have done. I mean, to me, it's a exercise in futility. I mean, you're all going to be in the same pool when it's all said and done. If you like a guy, you can start looking now. What's the big deal? Like, again, you just keep your mouth shut. You don't have to fire a guy just to start looking. If you know you're firing him at the end of the season, start looking now. So that whole I want to get a start on the coaching search, that's garbage to me, because you can do that behind the scenes. You can do that. You can put a feeler out there. You can start talking to some guys, start making some phone calls, start allowing your people in your front office that you trust to handle the situation. Start making those decisions and start making some contacts and start figuring out who's going to be the next guy. So it's not like you're going to be able to talk to anybody's coordinator or anybody's coach at the college ranks right now anyway. So everybody's doing their own thing, whether it's a bowl game or teams are still preparing week after week for their games in the upcoming week. You're not getting that much of a head start unless you're going to get some guy, a retread that's working for some network right now. You're not getting a head start. So I don't really buy that. Anyway, Enrique Valencia says, 6 years now and the O-line hasn't been improved one bit, one of the softest lines in the league. Well, you got a new GM now. I say give him some time to see if he can't revamp this thing himself because it's been pretty bad. I can't disagree with what you just said. It's been really porous. And when you're trying to fix it with 7th round picks like Denzel Good out of Mars Hill, there's only so much upgrades you can do when you're not investing the type of picks and resources into this line that you need to. And now that you're going to be bad this year, you're going to get a top tier pick. You know, when Andrew Luck was there, you weren't going to finish any worse than 7-9, 8-8, because Andrew Luck was going to will you to some wins. Now that you stink and you're going to have a top 5 pick most likely, use that on an offensive lineman. Get you a top-tier offensive lineman and start the rebuilding process up front. Enrique Valencia says, I feel bad for T.Y. Hill, and he's getting dragged down by Jacoby and his inability to read the field quickly. That may be the case, but he's invisible too much for me. I need him to step up and make plays more often than he does. And even when Andrew Luck is there, yeah, he has those crazy games when he's got 7 catches, and he's had some of those with Jacoby. He's got 7 catches for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. He'll even have the occasional 210-yard receiving game on 11 catches and 3 touchdowns. But there's too many 2-catch, 32-yard games in there when he's Eugene and not T.Y., and so he just frustrates me because every week I don't know what I'm getting from him. Josh Berman says, where's Allen Hurns? He's been 2 years ago. He had a TD, I think, in 6 games in a row. Hasn't done crap since. Well, he's been banged up. Both of the Allen bros have been banged up this year, so that's the problem right now with Allen Hurns. And, you know, Allen Robinson went down early in the year for the season, so it's just been injuries. That's why you're down to the guys that I mentioned at the receiver position, which isn't the most talented group in the world, but they're getting the job done right now because they've been dealing with injuries throughout the season. Josh Berman says, I want a rematch with the Jags in the playoffs. I think we're a new team. I want the Jags. He says, I don't know if we'll win, though, but we'll see what happens. I don't know who you're a fan of. It looks like the Ravens. You're a fan of the Ravens. You probably won't see the Jags because you're not winning the division. And unless the Jags win the division, and I don't think they're winning the division either, but it could happen. If the Jags win the division and you get the 5 seed, then yeah, you would get your rematch. And that would be a good game. 2 really good defenses squaring off. That would be interesting. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. They have to win the division in order for that to happen. If both of you guys are wild cards, then of course that would not be able to happen unless both teams somehow, some way were able to advance to the AFC Championship game. And again, that isn't happening either. So it's going to do it for Jags and Colts. Jags take care of business the way that they were supposed to, 30-10 over the Colts, improved to 8-4 on the season, stay tied atop the AFC South division with the Titans. And really, to me, it's going to come down to Week 17 between those 2 teams for the division. Winner takes all there, and the loser is going to be one of the wild cards in the AFC. So at least both teams are going to get in as it stands right now. And if they continue to win games, both teams will get in. Got some tough games coming up. Both teams will be venturing out into the NFC West, taking on I think the Jags will be taking on the Seahawks, and the Titans will be taking on the Cardinals. So be interesting to see how those teams handle those matchups before they finally meet each other in Week 17. Excuse me. When I think the division will be on the line between those 2 teams. For the Colts, they just continue to struggle. It's inevitable. Chuck Pagano's on his last legs as head coach in Indy, and he's going to finish out the season, and then they're going to be looking for a new head coach come this offseason. So just 4 more games of Chuck Pagano as Indianapolis Colts head coach, and then they'll move on as they drop to 3-9 with another loss this season. That's going to do it for Colts and Jaguars here on Lockdown Coverage. Plenty to come on the program. It's going to be a marathon. I'm going to be here until basically Monday Night Football, breaking these games down. So I'll see you for Chiefs and Jets next. Don't you go anywhere. More Lockdown Coverage to come. See you in a bit.